Hello, welcome back. This is going to be a little different episode, a shorter episode, where I'm just going to kind of update everyone on where we're standing on the Gloomhaven campaign. And I'll also be doing a bunch of level ups from the results of the playing off camera over the weekend. And so I'll show some of the victory stats for the campaigns, or for the scenarios that I played. There were 3 of them, but the combinations were fun to play, a little different than I had been. Got to play some characters that I haven't played in a while, in a few episodes anyway. This first one, the Berserker, Cragheart, Scoundrel, and Soothsinger. It was fun to bring the Berserker back in, and I left the Cragheart in to gain another level. I think the Berserker might have already had a level, had enough XP for a level up, but I didn't do any leveling up off camera, and we'll be doing all that here. In this one, we had gained the Doom Powder design, which should be a pretty interesting item, and maybe I'll show that on the next episode. The next one was the Sunkeeper, Elementalist, Scoundrel, and Mind Thief. It was fun to bring the Mind Thief and Elementalist back, and they do have some ways that they can play off of each other, particularly with ice. The Mind Thief has a whole bunch of abilities that infuse ice, and she can use them for stunning, but the Elementalist can also use it for stunning and immobilize, I believe. And so this one was a pretty interesting one where they kind of fed off of each other and were constantly stunning the enemies. So I'll try and make this combination for an episode, and to kind of show you how that worked. Of course, the Scoundrel kicked butt by killing 6 enemies and dealing the most damage. And in this particular scenario, we got the Mask of Terror design. This one is, for every melee attack, you can push 1, and it isn't an item. It's a helmet, but it isn't an item that can be, or that is exhausted or consumed, so that you can use it for every melee attack. And it's pretty interesting for enemies, or for pushing enemies into traps, of course, or just pushing a whole bunch of enemies away with an AoE attack at melee range. But it's also very nice for melee attacks that push already, so then you're pushing them 3 or perhaps 4, depending on how far the ability was at the beginning. And the final one here, I had the Sunkeeper, Scoundrel, Cragheart, and Elementalist, and I believe I kept the Elementalist because I wanted to level it up a little bit more to reach its next level. And I believe I did that, and we'll see here in a minute. But this one was, I think this one was the one that we started off and we couldn't use any, like we could infuse the elements, but they would go inert after the end of the round for each round. And this one ended up being pretty tough for the Elementalist, as you can see with its stats. It dealt very little damage and killed only 1 enemy. So that one was a pretty tough one for the Elementalist. But because there were the night demons, anytime that I could consume the dark element after in the same round that they infused the element, it kind of worked out. So the Scoundrel and the Elementalist could find ways of using it, and so did the Sunkeeper. Actually, she has one ability that can consume darkness to make light. I think she has 2 abilities actually. One can consume any element, and then 1 consumes darkness. So here we are within the campaign. As you can see, from here, this is just the beginning. We're going to go through each one of the characters and level each of them up. There are a couple that didn't level up, and that's fine. I wanted to get some of these up to the levels that would actually make sense for some of the personal quests. So the Berserker up first with level 2, so now she'll actually be receiving her personal quests. With the first option here is Reckless Offensive. You may suffer up to 3 damage. Attack 4, targeting X, where X is the amount of damage you suffered. So the interesting thing about this is it sounds like you have to take 1 damage in order to target 1, and then 2 damage in order to target 2, and 3 for 3, right? But I'm wondering, and I haven't used this card, so I think I'm going to do it, but it sounds like you need to take at least 1 damage in order for it to be effective. So I'll probably take this one to test this out. At the bottom, all melee attacks targeting you add +1 damage, but she'll have retaliate 2, and this is an infinite. This is a scenario long ability. So in this way, you know, all of the attacks incoming to her will be stronger, but she'll always have retaliate 2, and of course you can stack this with the other retaliate. So resolute stand would be retaliate 3 in that case, and then of course, is it bounce back? Bounce back. So retaliate 2 on top of that would be retaliate 5. So if in 1 turn she could put out resolute stand and bounce back on top of reckless offensive, which would be an ability that's already in play, for a retaliate 5, that can kill quite a bit of enemies, particularly the ones that have a lot of shields. Break the Chains is one that I've played with in the past. Attack 2, range 3, targeting 2, and then pulling them. So bringing 2 enemies closer to her so that she's put into melee range. The bottom action is move 3, add +2 if you have fewer hit points than half of your maximum hit point value. It would be really nice if this was reworded somehow different. It just seems, yeah, it's kind of a mouthful. But anyway, so it can be, if she has lower health, lower than half of her hit points, then it could be a move 5. And consuming fire makes it a move 7, which is really nice. And even if she doesn't have, if she is full of health or has more than half of her hit points, then she can still consume fire to make it an attack, or a move 5, which is still pretty powerful, right? However, we're going to go for a reckless offensive. I think it looks like an interesting card. I've never used it before, and I want to see about that the top ability here. And if anyone watching this knows that you have to take at least 1 damage for it to be effective, then just let me know. I'd like to hear about it. I'm not going to go through all of the cards on camera. I might do all of this off of camera. So we'll just continue here. And for the Berserker's first perk, I kind of want to say, what does she have for items? First of all, she doesn't have a whole lot of items except for a major healing potion, which is a heal 5, right? Okay. I was thinking resilient might be a good one. Just ignore negative item effects. So if we do put some armor on her, then she won't get a bunch of negative ones because of that. But we can do the same thing by just doing this right now. So we'll use consistency. It'll remove a couple -1s. So if she does get some armor before her next level up, then I can use... then it basically did the same thing as resilient by adding a couple -1s, right? Next up is the Soothsinger. Melody and harmony. You may have 2 songs active at once, but you only gain experience from 1. Because if you could gain 2 experience every turn, that would be a bit overpowering. If a 3rd song is played, discard it, right? So this is kind of similar to a lot of other things, like the augments for the Mind Thief. That you can have 2 ability or 2 of their particular abilities active at once, but I really liked it for the bottom instead. This gives her an ability to move 3, attack 3 at range 3, because and I didn't use this either. I'm really bad about this. Yeah, I'm just realizing once again that I'm forgetting to input these cards, so if you guys see me doing this, please let me know. Even if you see that I put it in later, you can just edit and, you know, it's fine. So anyway, the move 3 with the range attack of 3 is really powerful for her, because when we start increasing her or getting her modifier deck to where it should be at higher levels, she hits really hard, so anything that allows her to attack is great, but the ability to move and attack in one action is amazing, right? So I've taken that one. The other one, and I don't think I actually took this one. I've only played as her once to this level. So mobilizing measure. All allies may perform a move 1 before any of their attack actions. Oh, that's an interesting one too, actually. Because the other one, I think this one, yeah. Song of Speed. All allies add +1 move to their move actions, and the +1 range to their range actions. I mean, this one is pretty great as well. I pulled it out, I think, way at the beginning, but I should consider bringing it back. However, all allies may perform a move 1 before any of their attack actions will allow the mercenary band to just continuously move forward toward the doors, right? And then to have a move 6 excuse me, a move 6 that's a free action, it's not burned. This is really good for her because we don't have many opportunities for her to move, and we can kind of take less ability cards in the future with movement. So this one's a tough one because I know I like melody and harmony, but this one does look good. Nah, you know what? It's not that tough. Let's continue with the testing and just taking cards that I don't normally take. They might not make the best combination of their hand, but I'm not playing this to min-max at all. I'm just playing this to learn a bit more, and so everyone else can learn a bit more. I mean, not everybody has played the game twice, right? So when you take a card, you don't take the other card, And I'm hoping that in this way, while I'm taking the cards that maybe you didn't take, right? So you get to see those in action as well. And I'm going to write myself a little bit of a note here because Soothsinger, I need to remember to bring in her cards. Right, so let's take a look at her modifier deck now. Yeah, as I was saying, when she does attack, you know, we get a lot of these conditions attached to her attacks, and we even get things like this, where it's a +3. We can add 3 rolling modifiers with +1s, and then there's this one, of course, a +4. I mean, what is... we want her to be attacking, right? The problem is that she doesn't have that many attack cards, and she's really good at controlling. So I might have said this in the past that if you've played Darkest Dungeon, and I know that Isaac Childress did, because he said that Darkest Dungeon kind of helped him think about some of the abilities and was an influence on making Gloomhaven. And the Soothsinger is almost a replica of the Jester, where the Jester is more about controlling, and then he has that one huge hit, I think he's called the Finale or something like that, where he can outright kill many enemies, or one enemy in one hit. So what else could we go for? I think let's go for Refrain. Let's take the ones that are more useful for the round, and then we'll start taking the other ones. Like these are more controlling, right? And then this curse is pretty nice, and then we'll start adding in things that such as Cacophony and Discord. This way we can, if these show up, then we'll be, you know, helping out in the future rounds with these as well. So, ooh, actually, she does have another perk point. So, if that's the case, let's go for Wound then. So you can see here, we have replace a +0, replace a +0. So all of these zeros are gone. This one's replacing replacing 2 +1s with a +4. You can do it twice. So we'll, at the end of all of this, we'll have a +1, a +2, the ×2, and then all of these +2s, +4s, +3s. Some of them are +1s though. But yeah, you can see when she hits really hard. But the problem is making her hit, right? Alright, Cragheart. Level 3. Move 1 adjacent single hex obstacle to an empty hex within range 4. Attack 2, target all enemies adjacent to the moved obstacle. It's gonna be hard for me to pass this card up. Bottom action is move 5, jump, destroy all obstacles, disarm all traps moved through. Let's look at the next card, because that's a really difficult card for me to pass up on. Blunt Force. Attack 4, which is burned, but consuming earth adds another attack 4. Or, sorry, +4 to the attack. So this would be an attack of 8 with 3 XP. Okay, that seems more worth it. If we don't use the earth, if we don't consume earth for this, then it kind of seems like a waste. It's just an attack 4 with 1 XP. I don't know, it just seems like a waste, right? But an attack of 8 with 3 XP is pretty strong. Then there's, well, we'd really want to make sure that the Cragheart is strengthened for something like this, right? We don't want to be missing that one. A move 2, retaliate oneself. You know, I just can't do it. If you've taken Blunt Force, then try to convince me that you like it more than Clear the Way. Because the Cragheart, you know, if Blunt Force was something that used obstacles, then that would be a really good way to compare the two cards, right? But Blunt Force and attack of 8, yeah, that sounds great, but to be able to pick up obstacles and move them around the map, that's what the Cragheart is all about, at least for me, you know? If you like this card, if you like Blunt Force, then try to convince me why Blunt Force is better than Clear the Way. And even if you like Clear the Way and think you can play the devil's advocate for Blunt Force, then go right ahead. I appreciate that. But to be able to use Avalanche, creating 2 single hex obstacles, and then Clear the Way, I mean, it's just way too fun to not take up on it. And then you get to an attack 2 targeting all of the adjacent enemies. Attack 3 with the consuming earth. So yeah, I can't pass up on that. I don't think I've ever taken Blunt Force, and I could play this game 100 times, get him to level 3, and I will always I'll always skip Blunt Force. In this case, ignore negative scenario effects. We haven't really seen this too often in the Guildmaster campaign, so I'm not too keen on taking Resilient. Although I like taking things like Endurance and Resilient in the normal campaign, because being able to ignore all negative effects from the scenario and the items is a huge deal. It is situational, right? There are a lot of scenarios that don't have negative effects, but when they do, particularly at the beginning, I want to say a lot of them will give you curses, and you don't have to take those curses because it's a scenario effect. So it helps out quite a bit. I think I'm going to continue on focus here, just removing a -1 and putting a +1 in there. It doesn't make him very strong, but it does reduce the chances of decreasing his attacks. So yeah, we'll go with that. And the Spellweaver, and we have more. This is not it. Spellweaver has hit level 7. I think she's the only one at level 7. The Brute might be at level 6, but yeah. So let's see here. Twin Restoration. Recover up to 2 of your burned cards. And this one is completely lost. You don't burn the card, you burn it, tear it up, and never see it again. Of course, just for that scenario. You bring it back in the next scenario. But a heal 3 at range 3 targeting 2 allies. This is an interesting card that I can only say that I've never taken it more than once, and I'm not even sure if I ever took it once. Stone Fists. Attack 6. Push 2. Immobilize. Consuming Earth, you get to target 2. Well, this one's pretty cool, and I know that I took this one, but you know what? I think at the highest level, when she reaches level 9, you actually have to get, well, you don't have to. You could get rid of Recovering Ether, but because she has 8 cards in her hand, when you reach level 9, you have to get rid of either Reviving Ether or a higher level card. And that's a pretty tough thing to do, right? And I think this is the card that I got rid of for her when I hit level 9, because I don't really put her into the situation of being in melee range. But to be able to jump into melee range and use this to, you know, attack 2 enemies with attack 6, pushing them away and immobilizing them, you're not in melee range anymore, right? Or consuming Earth to move 4 and shield 2. And that by itself is really strong as well. I don't know if you could probably hear the parrots outside. They sometimes swarm by the apartment. So the Stone Fists is a pretty interesting one when you can get it to work very well, and you can even start to use her. You can kind of change your way about her by taking some of. We could drop 8 from the ether, for instance, and take Hardened Spikes, where she then becomes kind of tanky, and then she has 2 cards with Shield 2, right? And in this way, she also has a way to retaliate, which could be a retaliate of 3, but this affects her and her adjacent allies. So it doesn't necessarily mean that she's the one being retaliated or retaliating, but she could stand next to somebody like the Berserker with something around retaliate 5, and that would be retaliate 7 or 8, which is ridiculous, right? So if you have the Berserker and Spellweaver in the same company or in the same band when you're playing the normal board game, then to go down the path of taking retaliation is really, really fun. It could be really fun. I've never done it, but I can see what comes out of that. There was another one here. Yeah, so you could use Frost Armor. You could bring Frost Armor back and drop a different card at that same level. Fire Orbs, for instance, you could drop. But to be able to not take 2 attacks, 2 damage. What is it? Not on the next 2 sources of damage to you, suffer no damage instead. So you mitigate all incoming damage twice. So it doesn't have to be attacks. It could be traps, things like that. But to be able to have this and then get into melee range, it helps out quite a bit. Freezing Nova would be another one that you'd probably want to take if you are to be going into melee range. And remember, her health is increasing at higher levels too, as does everybody. So putting her into melee range isn't a bad option at high levels. But I think I'm going to take Twin Restoration. I kind of like the idea of her healing a bit more, and the fact that we could, summon an ally. If it dies, we can get it back with Reviving Ether, or we can use Twin Restoration to get a couple cards back that we really want to use again, and then Reviving Ether later to gain all of our cards back, or to recover all of our burned cards. So I'm going to take Twin Restoration. The healing is going to be nice regardless, and recovering up to 2 cards that are burned. This does lower her hand when we burn and destroy 2 cards, Reviving Ether and Twin Restoration. But I mean, when we get to the end of the scenarios, we're not really so low having hands that are too low for the Spellweaver that she's exhausting. At least on a normal basis, a regular basis. Okay, let's see what's next. Alright, round 2. I told you we had a lot, so we'll have the Elementalist, Sunkeeper, and Night Shroud level up. As for the other ones, the Scoundrel didn't level up on my off-camera play, but she is getting really close, so I figured that was good enough. The Brute didn't level up. I didn't play as the Brute at all. He's already reached level 5. That's plenty. When it comes to we'll bring him back in for his boss fight with the Scoundrel coming up soon, maybe in a couple scenarios. The other one was the Tinkerer. So the Tinkerer didn't level up either. I don't even... Now I don't remember if I used him at all. I don't think I did. I was trying to focus on the enemy, or on the allies that... Or the mercenaries that needed to level up for their personal quests. So the Elementalist has reached level 3. This is going to be pretty nice for his next... this will unlock his second personal quest. And this one is using darkness. So Burial. Attack 4, range 4. If we consume Earth, we add +1 attack and immobilize in this formation. If this formation was up here, then it would just be, you know, attack 4, range 4 in that formation. But because it's next to this, I'm pretty sure that it's only taken into consideration when you use Earth. And then if you also consume darkness, then you get to add +1 attack and curse to that. So Earth and darkness, an interesting combination that I don't think anybody else has, any other mercenaries have, would make it an attack of 6, immobilizing them in this formation and cursing them. So this is a really interesting card, and I don't think I've taken it because I generally go for light for him. So I'm gonna go the dark path for the Elementalist. An attack 3 at range 4 for free on the bottom action. That's great. He can just, or the Elementalist can just, you know, make a range attack for free as the bottom action, and then potentially doing another range attack on the top action, or something else like healing. Chain Lightning is certainly the one that I've taken before because it just, the way that it works is they don't have to be in a specific formation like Burial. It's an attack X equals 4, and then attack X -1. So the first attack is attack 4 at range 3. And then it's attack 3 on a new enemy within range 2 of the first target, and then continue that with an attack X -2 on a third enemy within range 2 of the second target. So you can see what's happening here, right? That you're creating a chain of lightning between the enemies. Your first one is range 3, and then it's range 2, range 2. And it's getting weaker as it's getting through the enemies. You can consume light to add 1 attack to the first, which would be X would equal 5 in that case. And a Pierce 2, which is pretty huge, right? So all of them gain Pierce 2. Yeah, that's huge against like Forest Imps when they have pretty low health to begin with, or Vermling Shamans. That's also a pretty fun one to use against them. And then the heal 3, range 4 at the bottom. Oh, sorry. And if you're consuming wind or air, then you get to do a 4th target with X -3. Right, so this is a really fun one. There's more healing here, so that in this way we can be using light more often. But as I said, I'm going to go the dark route with him, and I'm immediately going to drop Brilliant Flash and bring in Encompassing Shadow, so that I stop bringing in light and helping the Sunkeeper, and I think the Elementalist is going to take a dark turn to start helping out the Night Shroud. So with with Encompassing Shadow, we'll have the ability to affect one ally with invisibility, at range 3, and that's also going to infuse dark. The move 2, all attacks targeting you gain disadvantage this round. That could be interesting if we want to put him in the situation to take an attack or two, but because of the Elementalist's hit points, we don't really want to put it into that kind of potential danger, right? So, all right. Next is the perk point for the Elementalist. And I kind of want to say, I kind of want to put this in now. Or we could use Glaciate or Quake, because I kind of want to be using Earth and Ice. The Wind would be helpful, so in this case, you know, we're using Wind and Ice, or Air and Ice, sorry. Probably more frequently, but now that I have that other one, adding in some Earth would be nice. So I think I'm just going to take this one. Let's start removing our zeros and just making them more useful, is basically what my thought here is. This way we can remove another 0 twice, so we'd have 0 zeros. We'd have a whole bunch of 2s, and then the zeros that do exist are going to be infusing an element. That's what's going to be important for him. Okay. Next, Sunkeeper has reached level 4. Righteous Strength, Bless. Affect all adjacent allies plus an XP. With the initiative of 18, this can be a very good card for her, particularly because it's a move 3 with a shield self on the bottom. So we could, if we wanted to, use Righteous Strength in combination with Cautious Advance, and the way we have it at the moment, it's move 3, shield 1, and then shield 1 plus 1, so a shield 3 in one turn. However, and I don't know if this is the best way to think about it, but I could almost see it being better to just replace Cautious Advance with Righteous Strength and just remove this card. But a 23 is still a good initiative for the Sunkeeper. So there might be a better card to remove, but I can see, like, since we can sell off this enhancement, we can do that. And I don't know if, I mean, at this time we can probably afford selling it and putting it right onto Righteous Strength. But I also had discussed putting it here, and I hadn't done it yet because I like to use the top action at least once or twice before using this, and in some cases I don't like bringing this in because I need the movement, and this will reduce movement for her. So yeah. So anyway, we'll think about the if I choose that, then I might replace it here, or I might find another one. We'll see. Heal 3 affects self and all allies, infusing light and 2 XP. The bottom action, all attacks targeting you and any ally within range 4 of you gain disadvantage this round, also infusing light. This one is pretty nice. I did take Righteous Strength in the past because her ability of moving and shielding within one round is a really a good way to open the scenario off. Being able to use Righteous Strength and Cautious Advance is a pretty good way to start the scenario off. Engulfing Radiance I did not use, and I haven't got the Sunkeeper beyond to level 4 more than once. So I'm thinking affects self and all allies. It's a burn card. It doesn't seem that strong, but the bottom action being attacks targeting you and any ally within range 4 gain disadvantage. Plus it does bring in light as well. And I mean 20 isn't that bad either. Let's go with Engulfing Radiance. Even though, you know, shield just impacts her, right? But this disadvantage affects her and her allies within range 4, which is almost likely all of them, right? In this case, it's kind of like giving shield, because it could reduce the incoming attacks for her and her friends. So we'll take it. And I just, it's more or less for me to test it out, because I haven't used it. It is also a free infusing light ability, and there aren't many of those that she has where they're free, right? So this one is burned. This bottom one here on Holy Strike, this one is also burned. This one is free, Dazzling Charge, and we're going to be keeping that for a while. But you can see another one here with burn. Burn. Again, burn, and this one's gone forever. And yeah, so it's nice to take in some abilities that give her light for free, right? For free meaning that they're not burned. And I think the best way to go about this is just by giving her brilliance or the attack modifiers. This way we have ways that we can roll out a infusing light, and then it will be added to whatever's coming up next. So I think that's pretty nice. That'll work out in her favor more often than not, I think. Particularly if we don't have a lot of cards that for free allow her to infuse light. And what I've done in the past, when I played as her in the board game, is I think I put 2 enhancement stickers on her abilities that had infused light. And I think I also did this. For some reason, I want to say she made a lot of money, even though she shouldn't. But there's a couple scenarios that just give you money or free enhancements, and I think that I got lucky with stuff like that with her. So I want to say that's how I did it. I know I had at least 1 +1 shield on defensive strength, and then I put a +1 or a infuse light on something like hammer blow, so that when she made an attack that she could infuse light and then consume light in the same round. So not in the same way, not in that order, right? So it would be an attack for consuming light, to take advantage of this, and then she would also infuse light for the next round, right? Okay, got that right. Okay, last one, Night Shroud, although I think there might be 1 or 2 attack modifiers or perks that I can spend, so I'll have to check that out. Prepare for the kill. Now this is probably one of my favorite cards, and you might say, you might disagree with me completely, but one of my favorite cards for the Night Shroud. And the reason for that is not for the attack and the move. You know, a move 2 and attack 2, they're nothing really special. But what I really like to do is add on +1s to this, so that it becomes a move 3, an attack 3, right? And I think what I've done in the past with this card was make it an attack 3 with poison, so that you really are preparing for the kill. So the next time that the Night Shroud, you go very late with this card, even though it has a high initiative, you can go very late with something like this, infuse dark and poison with an attack 3, which is helpful anyway. But then with the next attack, using something like this, Empowering Void, you can double the attack for the next one. Plus it has poison because you already attacked. So it's prepare for the kill. I had a ton of fun for it. Also, it's an initiative of 7. So you can go very early with this card if you want. If you are going invisible, or if you're just kind of trying to catch up a little bit and can make a ranged attack, or, you know, things like that, or go invisible. Yeah, I think I said that. So it's to be able to move or attack and infuse darkness is just really huge for him. And this ability card allows him the opportunity to use it as the attack or the move. So if I need darkness, I can just throw this in here, and regardless of the outcome, I will have darkness. Now, Soulfire, I haven't paid too much attention to this because I have brought the Night Shroud up to beyond level 2 more than once, and I've always taken Prepare for the Kill because I just love that card. So attack 1, range 3, wound, adds stun, and gain 1 if you are invisible. You know, if we're going for an invisible build, I can certainly see this being useful. Yeah, I can see it being useful. Attack 6, curse as a bottom action, and it's burned. You know, if we are invisible, then we can use that to our advantage, where we can attack, stay invisible, and make doubling attacks, right? But I can already see that. Where did it go? There. During your next 4 attack actions, perform move 2 as first part of the action. So in this case, you don't really need to move, because you can use say that you're going to use attack 6, move 2 first, then attack 6, and then you have the top action to do anything else you want to do. And it could be something like this, for instance. A move 3, and you can just jump out of there after. And since this is 9, and that's 85, you can choose, do you want to go early or do you want to go later? So in combination with Wings and Night, I can see it being very good for this attack 6 to be extra mobile. But I just can't do it, and I'm not going to do it. Add stun if you're invisible. No, I'm sorry. Again, you could probably disagree with me, and I could see why you disagree with me, but I like Prepare for the Kill. I'm going to take it. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. If you like the other one and you can and you don't disagree with me, but you still like the other one, of course. I'm always happy to have conversations with anybody on any topic following these games. So this one's a bit more tricky, because in order to gain some of his infuse dark attack modifiers, then we have to be adding negatives in first, and then we replace the negative with a positive. So it's a bit weird, but it works really. I think the best way it works is when you have 2 perk points available. So when he levels up and gains a perk point from the scenario quests, from well, I guess in the digital, his personal quests, then when you have 2 to spend, that's when I really like to do this. You know, it takes 2 perks, but it adds a +1 and a darkness and a dark infusing. So it works pretty well. I think I want to go with Shroud for him, though. Instead of going with consistency, which I do with almost everybody else, let's go with Shroud. It's a +1, which increases the chances of a plus rather than a minus. But the invisibility on random invisibility, when it works, it is so strong for the Night Shroud. Yeah. So we're gonna go for that. Now you might say, if I was going for Shroud, then the other card here, Soulfire, would be the better choice, right? Sure. Sure. I could see that argument. But I can't pass up Prepare for the Kill, so okay. I think that does it. There might be... Oh, we do have a perk point for the Brute, so we'll check that one out. We do have another perk point for the Spellweaver. Interesting. I must have missed that. A perk point for the Tinkerer. And that's it. Okay, so a few more perk points here, and then we'll be ending this. This is a bit longer than I wanted, but it's kind of a break from the normal looking at the... or playing the scenarios, and more just discussion based on leveling up more than half of the more than half of the mercenaries. Okay, Brute. So we have, I think I've been keeping this because I didn't want to take any more cards. But I'm just going to take Power. It adds a couple more +1s. Sure, we'll take it. Spellweaver. I don't see... I mean, I could go with Zenith. That could be interesting. I'm going to go with Cinder. It's another +2, and it infuses fire. Now we have Cinder and Freeze completely finished. So we have 5 +2s. And that's what makes the Spellweaver so powerful. And the Tinkerer with 1 more power, outburst. Embers is kind of... it's kind of useless. I don't know if he actually ever consumes fire. I know one, he consumes ice. That's the only one I know of from the Tinkerer that he consumes anything. But let's go with Outburst. That surprise +3 is always such a great thing to find. Sorry about that. That was we get near the end of the video and then dogs were going crazy. So, okay. Well, I think that actually does it here. I'll just quickly show where I had unlocked. I went up to Fire Farm. I don't know what that said, but Fire Farm, the Great Oak. So now we can get to practical studies for the Tinkerer. And I went to the Dome, so we're getting closer. This one would unlock Ironwood Camp. And we're getting closer to the Spellweavers. Although, I'm starting to wonder if I need to go this way instead. This one says unlocks the Enclave, Ironwood Camp, and for this one we need East Grove. Yeah. What's this one? Thorngate. Yeah, so I don't know. What I might end up doing is playing these ones off camera, maybe next weekend or something, and trying to find a way to get to East Grove. And I'm pretty sure that... Oh no, it's not. This one is Wildspire. Okay. So I want to be doing this one because we're going to gain quite a lot of gold out of that too. But we want to reach Wildspire. And I don't really understand any of these chapters. I don't know how they work. Because I've unlocked chapter 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, but I haven't finished 1 yet. And if I have, then I don't even know how or when that happened. Was 1.5 chapter, is that the end of chapter 1? I don't know. It's kind of hard to follow. And we have now unlocked everybody. Oh, whoops. So this one, I'll just unlock these now. Unlock the personal quest line for the Night Shroud because the Night Shroud has reached level 2. Now the Night Shroud is firmly part of the team. He has indicated to me that he wants to research some of the rarer enemies found around the land. How does he want to research them? By killing them and dissecting their corpses, of course. Oh, that kind of research. Yes. First, he's suggesting heading to the pyre to collect spirit ectoplasm. Okay. The Barbarian, the Berserker's story quest is unlocked here. We've received word that the Overseer has returned to Gloomhaven. The Overseer? See, now they've actually said who the boss is right away. He's dangerous and he's got history with the Berserker's clan, so I'm letting her lead the investigation. You need to find him and take him down. Okay? And the Elementalist has reached level 2. So this is just an unlocking episode. It's a long episode. I wanted it to be half of this time, but we've made it this far. Cool. Thank you. Elementalist has been researching Swagger, a hero from hundreds of years past who had mastered both melee and magic combat. There it is. I've told them to investigate the ruined village of Mudshoot near Bloodford. Wonderful names. Mudshoot, Bloodform. Maybe they can find out how to bolster their own melee abilities. Oh man, okay. There's a few more here. Perk point for the Cragheart and perk point for the Elementalist. So let's go do these as well. And this is coming into the next episode, so we're going to claim that while we're here anyway. We've unlocked circles. Orc Sakmus, who I can only assume to be Sam Castro. That's spelled backwards. I don't know if I'm onto something there or not, but yeah, wanted to see the circles. So collecting parts of wide number of enemies has brought the summoner to our guild. She is now available to add via the character menu. And we still have these two to unlock. Or to claim. So here's the Mask of Terror. During your melee attack, add push 1. You can use this as many times as you want, and that's something pretty cool about it. We gained the Black Knife. During your melee attack, add curse to a single attack. And this one can be used after resting or using some items to bring them back. And Doom Powder. During your attack, add stun, poison, curse to a single attack. Pretty strong. Pretty strong. And because the Tinkerer has that ability to bring back a small item, it's even stronger. So, yeah, let's do this real quick. We have another perk point for the Cragheart. I say we just continue down focus. Just remove those -1s, add some +1s. It's gonna help out. I think so. Elementalist. We've now added Magma and Blizzard, so we might as well add... We could add some of these, but you know what? I think I'm going to start removing some of his minuses at this point. We've replaced quite a bit of the zeros, a good portion of them, so let's start removing some of those minuses. Yeah, let's just remove them outright. Okay, oof. That was quite an episode. I did not expect it to be this long, but I think it's worth it. I think this way we'll be able to kind of move forward a little at a better pace for the story quests. At the beginning I was just kind of playing around with how these worked, and you know, it was fun at that time, right? But to actually watch the grinding happening and watching all of these quests unfolding, I think it's better to just get to the personal quests and the boss fights and see those. I think personally it's going to be more fun. Yeah, but of course there are going to be some, such as Trenchfoot, and I've said this before, that I'll show this one in a recorded scenario, because we haven't fought oozes yet in the campaign, so I'll still continue to show some of the enemies that we haven't seen yet, or that we haven't seen too many of yet. So I will kind of filter through them, but for instance, we don't need to see any more rending drakes and spitting, or any of these beasts. Actually, we have to kill 8 of these beasts. So, but I am interested in this. The wall shield. When damaged by an attack, gain shield 4 for the attack. It does take 2 hands though, but that's pretty nice, and the fact that it can come back, yeah. I'll be doing that probably pretty soon. Okay, anyway, hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, let me know in the comments section. Leave a like as well, that always helps. And yeah, thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you next time.